Aloha ukulele class. This is lesson 4. We're going to start by doing a little bit of review. Okay, so at this point you should be, first of all, an expert at tuning your instrument. Okay, so always tune it. Alright, always keep your fingernails trimmed like this. Okay. This instrument, I'm sorry, if you like to have your fingernails long but this instrument is quite impossible to play with long fingernails. Okay, and the reason is when we play our chords, especially the chords, we need to play on the tips of our fingers, and if there's any little fingernail in the way there, especially for beginners, it causes your chord to kind of droop like this, and then your chord kind of can sound like pretty bad. So those are the main two ways that you can really sabotage yourself before you've even made any progress, is by playing your instrument out of tune, and then also trying to play it with long fingernails. Okay, and so those are two things that I'll definitely comment on if I see anything going on with that, with the assignment videos. I'll definitely comment on the tuning if it's out of tune, and I'll comment on the fingernails if I see that the fingernails are getting in your way, which if they're long, they most definitely will. Okay, so take care of that. All right, and then there's holding it. Okay, back to lesson 1, how to hold it. So important. Okay, put it on your leg. All right, now I'm using a footstool. Okay, I can raise this up or lower it. Okay, and this helps. It's like even more important for guitar, but can be pretty useful for uke as well. Okay, I can get this leg higher up here or lower. All right, and that getting the uke in the right place is really important for success, because if it's like too low down here, it's hard to like get comfortable. You might feel like you have to hold it up like this, which is harder. You don't want to ever hold it up like this. All right, you want to rest it on your leg, and if it's too low there, you get your leg up higher up. Okay, you could also cross your leg. That kind of does that. It's hard to kind of stay in this position for a long time. That's why the footstool is best. You got to be in a chair, not sitting on the ground, not sitting on like a soft bed or sofa, like in a firm chair, and a footstool is a good accessory to have. Okay, so that's number 1. Get it on the leg. You don't want it over here. You don't want it back here. Definitely not like this, like a guitar. It's way too low. All right, and then hold it at a 45-degree angle. Okay, this is too low, and this is too high. Okay, right in the middle there. All right. With the left hand, we always balance it here. Thumb goes here on the neck. All right, and we never touch the ukulele here. So these are the main things that I'll comment on your in your feedback, is with your left hand holding, your right hand holding where the uke is here. If I see you holding it up like this, I'll tell you not to. Okay, the tuning, the fingernails, etc. All right, so that's the left hand, and you always want to be in that position, like for whatever chord you're doing. Okay, you can move this back and forth this way or back and forth this way. Okay, your wrist should be straight. All right, a little bend this way and that way is okay, but watch out for the extremes. All right, that's why it's so important to keep your fingernails trimmed, because that allows you to arch your fingers the way you need to and like grip the neck closely like this. You know, when you get down here, first of all, you're holding it up, like not with this, but with your fingers. Um, and then also what happens is, like, you'll see the wrist bends more in this position. That's not good. You'll hurt your wrist that way. You want to keep the wrist straight and have more of a relaxed position. So how to hold it is so important. And you see a lot of different things that students are doing bad, like trying to hold it up on this side of your hand. And this is kind of like the equivalent of playing the uke like upside down backwards, you know. Like, you definitely don't want to be doing this. I see some students doing that. It's you do the opposite, in fact. All right, this is the basic. All right, with the right hand, reach all the way over and grab a hold of this thing. Okay, don't come over the top of your uke like this. Okay, it's sort of like you want your arm hitting the back of it. There's different size ukes, so sometimes your arm might be back here if you're holding a small one, but no matter how big or small it is, you should be holding this part of it, okay? Not back here, not up here on the thing, okay? Just get a good grip on it like this, okay? Now, let's play position 1, the scale, all right? So this one we should have memorized, okay? That's why the previous assignment was about playing the scale from memory, because we're going to be learning 5 of these positions plus some other things later on, and we want them all to stick in our memory. We don't want to have to look at the paper all the time. Okay, so let's play position 1 and try not to look. Ready, and when I watch your videos, I can tell if you're like staring intently at the music, or whether you're not having to look. Okay, so it's pretty obvious, and at some point I'll ask you to play all 5 of these things from memory as one of your assignments, and I'll be able to tell if it's memorized or not. Okay, now it's really easy to memorize it. First thing is you have to get in the habit of playing it regularly with a lot of repetition, okay? But also you take one further step, which is you put the paper away and try to remember. Stuck there and you can't remember one of the notes, then yeah, look at it again and then put the paper away. Okay, it's like studying with index cards. You know, you try to memorize the answer. Okay, so that one should be memorized now, and because we're going to learn the next scale, position 2. Alright, so position 1, what that means is when it's a 1, we use our index finger. When it's a 2, the middle finger. When it's a 3, the ring finger. And when it's a 4, the pinky. Okay, position 2, very simply, is we move all of that over 1 fret. So now, when it's a 2, we use the index finger. When it's a 3, we use the middle finger. When it's a 4, we use the ring finger, and when it's a 5, we use the pinky. Okay, because we have notes on 5 now. All right, and you'll also notice that there are no notes on 1 anymore. Okay, because this is how position 2 goes. All right. Also, don't forget, it tells you which fingers to use up here. When you look up here at the note, they have little numbers there. This means play the 2nd fret with your 1st finger. Okay, so 0, and then 2, but this time we use the index finger. Ready? And then 4, this time with the ring finger. Ready? And then 5 with the pinky. Okay, and then we go to the E string. It's 3, but with the middle finger. Ready? 5 with the pinky. Ready? 2 with the first finger. 3 with the middle finger. And 5 with the pinky. Ready? And then back. 3 with the middle finger. We always go from left to right and then from right to left. Up the scale and down the scale. 2 with the first finger. Ready? 5 with the pinky. Ready? 3 with the middle finger. Ready? 5 with the pinky. We're on the C string now. 4 with the ring finger. Okay, now stop. Look at your hand position. Okay, is there a space here? Okay, is this up tight, close grip? Are you holding this and not this? Okay, I see this all the time. The student gets in the ready position, but then as they start playing, everything reverts to the bad way. Okay, and then 2 with the index finger. Ready? And 0. Okay, also when we use the thumb, we use kind of the side of the thumb, right? You don't want to use the tip of the thumb. It's more like with the side of the thumb. Okay. All right. All right. So that's very important. We don't just have to remember the notes, we have to remember which fingers to use, okay? And actually, if you remember which fingers to use, that also helps you to remember the notes, okay? And it also ensures that you're doing it exactly the same way every single time, which activates the muscle memory. Okay, which helps you to learn these things with, without thinking about it at all. You just play it, your fingers know what to do and everything. But it only works when you play in position, okay? Rather than sort of deciding which finger to use as you go, which isn't as good, okay? So when you do these assignments, to get full credit, you have to use the right fingering. I'm very forgiving at first. I give students lots of chances and feedback, but as the semester goes on, I'll be less forgiving. I'll just start taking points off if the directions and instructions aren't being followed. That's like one of the main points of the class is, we want to learn the technique of playing it, how to hold it, how to produce a good sound out of it, the left hand technique, the right hand technique. Okay, that will take you far. You can go a long ways with that. But any problems with that will inhibit you and get in your way. That's why we're trying to be very detailed and precise about that, especially at first. And this is the thing I'll remind you about constantly, about how to hold it, the tuning, the fingernails, etc. Okay, so that's position 2. So whenever you pick up your ukulele to practice, which should be every single day, at least once, okay? You don't have to practice every single thing in one sitting. You can have multiple sessions, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 10 minutes here. It all adds up, okay? the first thing you do is you tune it. Okay. I'm going to check my tuning because I just changed my strings recently. And it takes them a while before they stabilize. Okay. Always check the tuning. And then practice your scales. Okay, position 1. Close your eyes, up and down. Okay, you don't have to close your eyes, but don't look at the paper. Up and down, up and down, up and down. Okay, and then position 2, and we're trying to memorize that. So maybe look at the paper because we want to learn the fingering. Paper away. Okay. Oh, I'm pretending that I forgot one of the notes. Oh, there it is. Okay. But get used to playing without looking at scale diagrams and chord diagrams. Okay, let's do Ode to Joy. All right. So, with Ode to Joy, we introduce a new rhythm. Well, it's not quite new because we did it a little bit in Knocking on Heaven's Door. The 8th note. The new one is the dotted quarter note. Okay, so if I look, at my rhythm chart, I'll see the dotted quarter note, which is just a quarter note with a dot next to it. That's 1.5 beats. All right, it's like a quarter note plus an 8th note. The 8th notes are half a beat. When they're by themselves, they have a little flag. Okay, and when they're together in groups, they get beamed together like this. The 8th note cannot be beamed to a quarter note or a half note or anything larger than the 8th note. It can only be beamed to other 8th notes and other rhythms that are smaller in value, equal or smaller in value. Okay, so if there was no dot here, so cover the dot, imagine this is a normal quarter note, then this would come on beat 2. So it would be 1 and 2 like that. But because we have the dot, it pushes this back a half a beat. So instead of being on 2, it comes on what we call the and of 2. So the and after 2 is called the and of 2. So 1 and 2 and. We call that the and of 2. So if there's no dot, 1 and 2. But because there's a dot, it's 1 and 2 and then 3 and 4 and for the half note, because the half note is 2 beats. Okay, so here, let's play this and count it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and again, ready, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and one more time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay, same rhythm here. Let's play this one, different notes. So ready, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and again, ready, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and same exact thing down here, the last measure. And then on line 3 we have these which we have the 2 8th notes beamed together. The more faster rhythms that you see beamed together, the harder it is normally because of the speed. And this one, there is no dot on this quarter note, so this one comes on 2. And then this one comes on the and of 2. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay, ready, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and one more time, ready, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and now let's play measure 10 and 11. Ready, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so one thing that helps with the speed here is the fact that these are both open strings, which makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so that's an important thing, is understanding these rhythms, being able to count it out, 1 and 2 and 3. So always like do it very, very slowly at first, and then you can work your way up to counting faster and faster, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and but at first it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay, that's not easy to do, so you want to do it slowly. And that's kind of a rule of rhythms, is that if you're having any trouble with any part of the song, then you need to slow down. And that's one mistake that beginners make, is they start out by going too fast, and then later they have to slow down when they get to the more challenging parts of the song. Okay, here's a good app to use. It's called SpeakBeat. Alright, and SpeakBeat is available, I know, on iPhone and iPad. And this is what it does for you.
And 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and
I can program this to get it to count in a number of different ways. It can count in 1 and 2 and 3 and, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, or just 1, 2, 3, 4. It can count a number of different ways, and it's a talking metronome. It's the only one that I know of, and it's really useful. You can get it to count for you, and you can practice these rhythms. Do measure 10 and 11. Ready, and
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2.
Okay, or I can make it much slower.
And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2.
Okay, it's very useful, because one thing is that when we count ourselves, normally we cheat a little bit. So we slow the counting down on the difficult parts, and we speed it up on the easy parts. And sometimes our counting can also be kind of uneven. So this is a good thing that teaches us to count. Okay. And we have a few tools to do about rhythms, and that is the example video, for one thing, so you can play along with me playing Ode to Joy, or playing position 1 or position 2, or Knocking on Heaven's Door, or Stand By Me. Okay, or you know, you can use the metronome. You can also set this one to just tick 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 tick. Okay, or use a different metronome, like one of these. Okay, or the SpeakBeat, which is kind of an advanced thing. And the SpeakBeat really helps when the rhythm gets very complicated. You know, like if I want to count like 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 Things like that. And the speak beat can help teach you how to count. And I use it a lot because I get tired of, all week lessons. 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, let's use the speak beat. Let that count for me for a while. Okay. So that's it. There's one other tricky thing here, and that is that this note here is tied to the next note, but it's tied to the next line, which makes it look a little bit strange. But you can also see the number in parentheses here. So so you play this note, skip this, and then the next note comes here. Just like Drink to Me, but you can tie a note and it can be tied to the next line of a song as well. Okay, so watch out for that. Practice playing this with the example video. Try doing some work with the speak beat, or with another kind of metronome, or just counting yourself. 1 and 2 and 3. All right, but like I said, that can be hard. We're not very reliable counters sometimes, and sometimes we cheat at the counting. Okay, so that's Ode to Joy. Some new rhythms, dotted quarter notes, single eighth notes, pairs of eighth notes, and this again is a very recognizable song. This song is almost universally recognized. It comes from Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, from the fourth movement of the Ninth Symphony, the Ode to Joy. Okay. Ode to Joy, that name comes from the poem. So Beethoven simply took this poem by this other guy, and which was called Ode to Joy, and he set the words of the poem to music, which is kind of how music works anyway. You have some notes and then some words, and you set the words to the notes, or you can start with the words too, and then set the words to and make up some notes to set them to. Either way, but in this case, he used a poem that he liked by another person. He borrowed that. That's why it's called Ode to Joy, because the name of that's the name of the poem. Okay, and that's a good thing to at first at least play songs that you're familiar with, because you kind of have some idea of what it's supposed to sound like. So when you get the notes right, it sounds right. When you get the notes wrong, it sounds wrong. Later, when we study these rhythms, and then later when you see the rhythm again, you might start making these connections. Like, oh, that's the Ode to Joy rhythm. That's the Knockin' on Heaven's Door rhythm. That's the Stand By Me rhythm. Okay, and then you'll know what to do. So in that way, learning music is kind of like learning a language. Not literally, of course, but it's like learning a language, because you build this vocabulary that you can go back and access. The scales, the songs, the rhythms, it builds and builds until you can sort of read and write and speak this kind of language. Not a language, but it's like that. Okay, that's it for Ode to Joy. Let's try Stand By Me. All right, so we have a new chord, which is E minor, which is like this. Okay, so A2, E3, and C4 with the first, second, third finger. It's like little steps. You see, step, step, look at this up in your chord chart. But like I said, you don't want to get too reliant on looking at the charts all the time. You want to remember these things. All right, now stop what you're doing. All right, check. Is your grip close here? Is there a space here? Okay, it's not out here, is it, with your wrist bent and your thumb all the way down here? Or like this, it's not like that, is it? Okay, just check. Is your uke sitting on the top of your leg, not over here, not back here? And are you holding on to this part? Okay. E minor. Okay, so first of all, it says there, strum with thumb. So we're going to use the thumb to strum this one, and we're only strumming down. So when we're only going down, the thumb is good to use. It's not so great to be doing ups. The finger is much better doing up strums than the thumb. Okay, so, and then we also have these X's. Okay, so don't forget, you know, like when we do Knocking on Heaven's Door, it's going to be with the finger, and then when we do this one, we're going to switch and we're going to do the thumb. Okay, this one will probably be one of the only ones that we do with the thumb, because normally we're doing more like down and up type things. Okay, but this one is useful also with the X's, and you'll see why in a minute. So X here is tap with the right hand on the strings. Okay, so make sure that when you do that, that you're not wearing any like bracelets or rings. Okay, especially metal things, because you'll probably knock a hole in your ukulele. So you want to make sure that, you know, there's nothing there to damage your ukulele. Okay, but as long as that's the case, this won't hurt it. Okay, so you're tapping sort of right on that sound hole, kind of like it's a drum, you know. And X is just any kind of percussive sound that doesn't have any particular like note or pitch associated with it. Okay, the technical term for that X is called a dead note. All right, and this is one kind, the tap. That's what we're going to do for this one. There's other kinds too, like I could tap this, or I could go, you know, I could do all kinds of percussive sounds on my ukulele, and those are all notated with the X. Okay, or I can cover the strings like this and do scrapey sounds. Those are also notated with the X. All right, but in this case, just a tap like this with the hand. Okay, and that kind of works well with the thumb, because I can go tap and then the thumb comes down. All right, and that works pretty well. Tap and the thumb, like so. Okay, so G, all right, is the first chord, and we do like this: strum, tap, strum, tap, strum, tap, strum, tap, strum, tap, strum, tap. Okay, let's go a little slower. Remember, strum with the thumb. Strum, tap, strum, tap, strum, tap, strum, tap. Okay, and let's zoom in on this a little bit. All right, so we have the counting here. So this first strum comes on 1, the tap on 2. So 1 and 2, like that. Then this strum comes on the and of 2. We call this the and of 1, the and of 2, the and of 3, the and of 4. This is the and of 2. So 1 and 2 and, like that, with the tap being on the 2. Ready? 1 and 2 and. We don't do anything on 3 because this is tied, so we just hold the chord, and then the second tap comes on 4, like this. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Slowly. Ready? And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, it's hard to play on the and because we have especially as beginners, we have a very strong urge to play on every single beat, like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and that's what we want to do, is play on the beats, and it's more difficult to play in between the beats on the ands. Okay, one more time. Ready? And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and we can use speak beat.
And 4 and 1 and 2
Okay.
and 3.
Let's slow it down.
4 and 1 and
Always
2
start very
and
slowly.
3 and
Ready?
4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4
And then you can gradually speed it up.
1 and 2 and 3.
Ready?
Four
And
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
okay, let's switch to E minor now. Okay. Or if you don't pay extra, speak beat shows you some ads, but that's okay. You don't have to pay, it's free. Probably should have mentioned that. Yeah, it's free. I don't promote like apps that you have to pay for. E minor. Ready? And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then C. We do C only one time. Okay? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then D. Okay, D. Ready? And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then G again. Ready? And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay. So you can use your own voice to count. Do it very slowly. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And you want to start out very slowly. You can work your way up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, but at first it's very, very slowly. All right. Like I said, sometimes we're not very good at counting, so speak beat.
1 and 2 and 3 and
Speed
4
that up.
and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3
Okay.
and 4.
So we should at least be good at playing along with the count, even if we're still working on like switching from chord to chord. Okay, and about that switching, so when we did Knocking on Heaven's Door, we used the open strings. So we did like this, and then off. That's how we switch on Knocking on Heaven's Door. 1, 2, 3, 4, off. 1, 2, 3, 4, off. Okay. On this one, we don't have any open string thing, but what we have instead is this. So when I'm tapped, I'm also muting the strings, so it doesn't do me any good to keep holding on to that chord. So what you want to do is every time you do a tap before a switch, take your fingers off right as you tap, because that's what gives you the head start on the next chord. And actually this way it gives you like even more of a head start, because knocking on heaven's door you only get half a beat, and on this one you get an entire beat. Okay, and that helps. Any little bit helps. So let's practice that. So we're gonna do G, and then when we get to this one we're gonna take all our fingers off the strings right as we tap. Okay, ready? Slowly. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and off, and E minor. Ready? Same thing for E minor. When we get to this one, we take our fingers off, okay? Because the next one is C. E minor. Ready? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and off. This is very important. C is an easy one. Ready? And 1 and 2 and 3 and off. Okay? Now, we only do C one time, so that's why we have to come off here. One more time. C. Ready? And 1 and 2 and 3 and off, and D. Ready? And 1 and 2 and 3 and off. Okay, because D also one time, so you have to come off there. Ready? And 1 and 2 and 3 and off, and G. Okay, now freeze. All right, is your grip close on this side? Okay, your thumb up here, you have a space here, your fingers arched, you're playing on the tip of your fingers, getting all the notes in the chord, and you're holding your uke here on the top of your leg. Okay, right? Good, just checking. Okay, always check that, and especially those of you who have been told that they need to work on those things a little bit more. Okay, and the last one, G. 1 and 2. Well, okay, we played G twice, and then we have to play G 2 more times. All right, so 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and off, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and off, and 1 and 2 and 3 and off, and 1 and 2 and 3 and off, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3, and we don't come off here because you have to do G 2 more times at the top, and 2 and 3, and finally come off to go to E minor. Okay, all right, so we're doing some new things, continuing with adding one more scale, one more song with some rhythms that we haven't done before, and one more chord song with a different strum pattern. Okay, but also like keeping in mind the basic things: tuning your instrument, keeping your fingernails trimmed, okay, holding it correctly with the right hand and with the left hand, and focusing on getting these basics. So don't forget those as we're adding more and more things of slightly increasing complexity as we go. Okay, and that's it for today. I'll see you in the next video. Mahalo.